maybe heard that famous Abraham Lincoln quote where he said, you know, if you give me a couple hours to chop down a tree, I'll spend the first hour sharpening the axe, because you're so much more efficient and you can chop down so much faster. So I would put this little session in the sharpening the axe category. And because there are certain make or break moments in real estate, and right now it's more critical than ever that we are confident in the market, we're confident in what's going on, and we can have a rational, non-fear-based response to people's concerns that are legitimate concerns. Because if we come off as confident ourselves, then people will want to work with us, particularly right now, because everyone is looking for certainty with so much weirdness and so much up in the air. So that's what this is about. So, oh, hey, Jeremy made it. Howdy, Jeremy. Welcome, sir. You're on mute, but hello. So the first question is, how did we get here having this session? And I thought you might find that interesting. About, I don't know, 2 weeks ago, I sent out this email because I watched a video that was real. I thought, man, this is really powerful. I wish everyone would watch this. And guess what I heard back? Yes, you guessed right. The crickets. Nothing from anybody. I did hear from one person, one wise person got in touch. This man right here, Justin Geating. I was hoping he'd be on here, but Justin, he wrote me an email and said, can you summarize it for us? I was like, no, brother, it's already summarized. You know, it's like 10 years of knowledge boiled down into 1 hour worth of video. You know, I can't summarize it really any more than that. And then, so he came back with basically this, which is, ain't nobody got time for that, Chris. We're all busy, man. We can't take an hour and watch a video, no matter how good it is. So at first I got kind of frustrated. Justin and I are friends, so, you know, I don't mind saying I was a little frustrated with him at first, like, of all people, man, you're into learning. What are you talking about? You don't have an hour, you know? So then I got to thinking about it more. And once I calmed down a little bit, I realized, yeah, I really could boil it down to maybe just the highlights. So that's how we got here, is to simplify. I've tried to cut out as much as I can out of this video, but I want to mainly show you the video that shows the national picture. And I also want to show you the local, what's actually happening in Allen County. So that's where we're going. That makes sense, you guys? Did anybody on here watch that video by chance? I didn't think so. It's okay. Out of 100, I think maybe 1 or 2 people watched it. So that's good, though. If everybody had watched it, I was going to feel kind of dumb showing parts of it to you again. But it's like most things, we got to see it. You did start it?
But I only got about halfway through.
Okay, so you get bonus, but like most things, you know, we got to see it a few times for it to really sink in. So I don't think it'll hurt you any, Jeremy. Hope not.
No, I want to watch again.
So here's the quiz. Can you see that on your screen, the quiz? But wait, there's more. So now I got to figure out, there's all this cool stuff in Zoom, but I'm still learning how to use it all. Where's my, oh, here we go. Sorry, you guys, I'm new here. Launch poll. So we're going to test you guys' knowledge. And this is, by the way, all these questions are anonymous. I'm going to show the results, but it doesn't say who answered what. So if you don't know, don't be embarrassed, still answer. So do you see the poll on your screen there?
Mm.
Yes, no?
Yeah.
Okay. So just take a vote. How many single family homes are for sale right now in Allen County? So we got less than 500, 500 to 1,500, 1,500 to 5,000, or more than 5,000. Right now, only 3 of you voted. So chop, chop, people. Kim, pull over and vote.
Hey, don't tell anybody, but I was one of the 3 that voted.
Oh, man.
I did too.
It's our little secret there, Kim. All right, so I'll end the poll and show you the results. So we got the winner of the poll is less than 500. Can you see the results? Yes, okay.
Yeah.
I only know what I can see. I don't know what you can see. So anyway, yes, less than 500 homes is the correct answer in Indiana, in Allen County. In Allen County, less than 500. Two people said 500 to 1,500. Now it is close to 500, so I left you off the hook. But I'm glad that everybody knew that it's a really little bitty number. Let me show you for historic purposes, because most of y'all on here are newer realtors. So here, let me stop sharing the poll. All right. So now can you see this inventory of homes for sale?
Mhm.
So you see here in 2018, there were this time of year 1,300. Last year, there were 1,200. This year, there are 857. Now, this is the whole of Upstar, so this is all the Northeast Indiana, basically. 857 homes available. You see here, I don't know if this is too small for you to see. Kim, don't look too closely at this one. Just keep your eyes on the road. 6,000 homes were for sale in mid-2007. 6,000 homes. And nothing was selling, so that was like a year's worth of inventory. Now, ever since, it's never stopped. We've gone all the way down now to this 857. So just June, if you look from the prior year to this year, it's down 28%. That's insane, you guys. I don't know how low it can go. I keep saying it can't get any lower than this. I've been saying that since like 2016. But it's still going down. All right. Back to my polling. We're going to test you guys again here. Poll number 2. This is going to be harder. Launch poll. All right, answer real quick here. What's the unemployment rate in Allen County right now?
Post-COVID, huh?
Right this minute. Well, July, the end of July. Only one person voted. This is anonymous, you guys. You can vote.
This is the one it's the person who's driving. I'm at a stoplight.
You guys, this is a participation thing. It's no fun if I sit here and just talk into the void. So vote here. What do you think the unemployment rate is?
I put mine in. Did you get mine?
Yeah, I did too.
Really?
Yeah.
I got one person has voted.
I submitted mine too.
There, they all jumped up. Okay, all right. So everyone has voted. End poll, share results. So here's what we got. We got an even kind of distribution here. 4%, 2 of you said. 3%, I'm sorry, 8%, 3 of you said. And 12%, 2 of you said. So the real number is 12%. That's the unemployment rate in Allen County right now. And I'll show you, this is the historical. This is the historical number. So if we look from the beginning of time here, you guys, we got, this was 1990s or 1980s. You're at 7.5%, 8%, dropped down to 2.5% in 98. Then we started up, and then we had the financial crisis, and we got all the way up to 12.5. And what you may not be able to see way over here is 20%. Now, this was an anomaly, obviously, because this is the first time in the United States that unemployment was unnatural. Like, we were forced to close. The government said you must not work. So that was really bizarre. Now, if I change this to 1 year, you can see how we were hovering along at the lowest ever unemployment that has existed. Frankly, it's everybody that wanted a job had a job. If you wanted to work, you could work. And then suddenly we went from 3% to 20% in 1 month. It's unbelievable. But the next month, we're back down to 14%. The next month, we're down to 12%. And we don't know, July hasn't come out yet for Allen County, but I suspect the downward trend continues. And I don't know if you guys, how closely you've been following this, but there have been A lot of people that have chosen to stay unemployed, either for health concerns or because the government program that's in place right now, it's more profitable for a lot of people to not work than it is to work. You know, I mean, I know people that were getting the extra, the bonus unemployment, and they were literally making more by staying on their couch watching Netflix than they were to go back to work. So this is probably artificially high right now, but just perspective to see. So when people talk, you know, about unemployment and how that affects housing, so we know what we're talking about. Also, of the unemployment, I don't know the Allen County stats, but nationally, do you know what percentage are under 25 years old of the unemployed? It's over half of the unemployed are under 25. Now that's rotten news if you're 25-year-old, but if you sell houses, that's really good news, because under 25 don't buy a lot of houses. They do buy some, but they don't buy a lot of houses. So anybody learn something new on that one?
Yeah.
Maybe.
I didn't know the number was that high, but I figured it was with the service industries and the restaurants.
Yeah, service industry got crushed. So that's a lot of young people, All right, I got another poll for you. Aren't you excited? Let's get your opinion. What is going to be happening in the next 12 months? So I'm launching this poll. What do you think is going to happen to house prices in Allen County in the next 12 months? Obviously, nobody has the correct answer to this, but you think they're going to be down by greater than 10%, a crash, or go through the roof? What's your gut feeling tell you? We got 3 votes. Maybe it's just taking a minute there. Taking a minute.
You know, that number of the 50% unemployed makes sense why they keep deferring loan payments too, because about all those people probably have loan payments.
Mm-hmm.
Or for, you know, for college loans.
College loans, yeah, and even mortgage forbearance is up to 360 days now. You don't have to make your payment. So that is a big question mark, is this loan forbearance, because like 30% of all mortgages in the United States are behind right now, which is massive red flag if you are worried about foreclosures and market crashes and all that. However, it's the first time in history when they said, it's fine, don't make any payments. All you have to do is call your mortgage company and say that you're having trouble, and there's, you know, you're not going to get harmed. Not only that, normal forbearance, you guys, in the past, whenever we've had something, there's nothing been similar, but whenever, if you had a workout deal with your mortgage, it was always, yeah, Amy, you can skip these 3 months payments, but on month number 4, you owe month number 4 and all those other 3. Now, most mortgage companies are not doing that right now. They're saying we will tack it on the end. So the government is absolutely, positively pulling out all the stops to not have a 2008, 2009 financial catastrophe again, where all these people go into foreclosure. So let me show you the results of the poll here. See what you guys think. So we got one person thinks house prices are going to fall fairly dramatically, down 5 to 10%. We got 5 people think it's going to go up between 0 and 5%. So still moving up, but slightly. And then we got one person that thinks it's going to go up a lot, 5 to 10%. That surprise anybody? This result here? Not really.
Can't see it, Chris.
You can't see it? Oh, share results. Silly me. All right, so here's what we got. One is going to go way down, one is going to go way up, and everybody else thinks it's just going to go up a little bit. So that's good to know. I didn't vote, but I suspect it's either going to be up 0 to 5 or 5 to 10. That would be my guess. Stop sharing. Last poll, you'll be happy to know. Appreciation. How much? Oh, this is an interesting one. How much have prices changed in Allen County in the past 12 months, including COVID, including the shutdown? Votes are trickling in, trickle. I just bought a rental property yesterday, you guys. I had to bid over the asking price, and I made an offer within 2 hours of it going up for sale. Man, if that doesn't tell you supply and demand is out of control. All right, end poll, share results. So you guys said, half of you said it's up around 6%, half said up around 9%. So let's look what unwieldy here. All right, so here's what Upstar says. Can you see that? The little chart here? This chart, by the way, you guys, when you go, ooh, the dog is excited about it. When you log into the MLS here, normally you'd go to Paragon right here. If you want these stats, you click this button, Upstar Housing Stats, and you'll come to this page right here. And you have lots of different things. You can even search by zip code to see what was going on. It's super powerful little page right here. So if you're new and you want to spend some time becoming a market expert, you can you can search by county, etc. But back to this one. This is Allen County from that page. According to this, the median sales price June last year versus June this year, we're up about 3%. Year to date, strangely, we're up 6%. I don't know what to make of that, but that's what it is. Inventory of homes, that's what we were talking about. Inventory of single family homes in Allen County went from 600 this time last year to 443 now, down over 25%. Unheard of, unheard of. What else we got here? Interesting. Price per square foot is up 8% year to date. That's new construction. That's dragging everything up, up, up. Here's the prices, by the way. Historical median sales price. So 5 years ago in 2015, the median for Allen County was 115. Now it's 165 in 5 years. It's pretty wild. So we'll get back to some more stats later, but in the meantime, let's look at this video. Now what I did here, I went through and I put which parts to play and which parts not to skip. That was my boiling down for Justin. Let's see who arrived. Rick Fletcher, howdy, sir. I think that's who arrived. All right.
Hey, Chris.
Hey, I'm gonna start this up and we're gonna play some and then we're gonna stop. And if you wanna chime in, you wanna say something about it, unmute yourself and just jump in, all right? And I think Jake told us last week, if you hold the space bar down, supposedly that unmutes yourself. We can give it a try. All right, here we go.
I want to stress to you.
So I got it on double speed. Put it on 1 1/4. Tom Ferry already speaks fast. Can you hear? Can you hear him
right now? When I talk to 17 different CEOs.
Can you hear him?
We can hear, but
Yes.
kind
Okay.
of fast.
Thank you. It's kind of fast still.
Every other week, when I'm talking to top agents, when I'm texting with brand new agents that are just entering in the business, I see, and Alicia, I want your input on this, and David, I want your input on this, and then we're going to go right into the slides. I see that there's essentially 5 or 6 major challenges that you're facing in your business right now. 5 or 6 major challenges that we're working with our clients every day to overcome. The number one, not in order of importance, just number one on the list, is the misinformation, right? Is the number of consumers that would like to sell, that think they can't find the next house. They would like to sell, but they're not sure if it's safe. They would like to sell, but they're afraid the entire world is about to fall apart. And when you look at the data around the number of listings that are available and what's coming on the market, it speaks to the misinformation. Now, David, how long have you and Steve and everyone been saying, we've got to control the narrative, we've got to create more content, we have to get the word out, and if we don't, guess what? It's going to be trouble, right? Yeah. There's too much buyer demand. The interest rates are at historic lows. There's too many good things happening. If we don't remove the sort of layer of misinformation, fear, and doubt in the marketplace, then too many customers will miss this window of opportunity, and your buyers are going to suffer, which leads me to the other issue, which is getting offers accepted. And I've asked Coach Elisa to talk about that today. Not getting enough consistent listings is number 3 on the list. Number 4 is getting our time back, right? And I was thinking about this. I was in a conversation with a client who said to me, I'm exhausted right now. And I said, well, of course you're exhausted. We've compressed the spring and summer market into 3 months. And if you're in Manhattan, we've compressed it into 2.5 months. So you've got to do 6 months worth of sales and work in this short period of time. Of course you're exhausted, but I know a lot of you aren't using your time effectively, right? That you're too busy reacting versus planning. And I'm getting ahead of myself. Number 5 is staying mentally tough. We need to be mentally tough right now. And the last one is the constant and never ending, extend your brand, find your tribe, extend your trust. So more and more people are calling you. Alicia, I know you see this. I see this with, the sort of top tier clients that I've worked with forever. And these up and comers, 3-4 years in the business that have used this device to be a truth teller, to be a storyteller. They are so busy. They're going on 2, 3, 4 listing appointments a day. I see those as the big 6 issues. Before we jump into the data, Alicia, talk to me. Getting offers accepted. If we do nothing else on this show besides educate them on the data, which David's going to do brilliantly, what do you think is the problem today with buyers agents and getting their offers accepted, and how do we solve it?
So real life story, put a house on the market, had 30 showings in 24 hours. Got 2 offers, accepted 1, buyer flaked out and walked a week later, put it back on the market, had another 30 showings and 8 offers the second time around. At the end of the day, what the sellers are looking for, number 1, is their net. So, how do you do that in a market like mine where our average sales price, or, if you go back to what Bill Pipe said on a pivot session a few weeks ago, about 45% of the loan applications were millennials, right? So millennials are coming into the market, but they don't have a ton of cash. So, out of the 8 offers I had on this house, 7 of them were requesting seller help. So making sure that you understand the net to the seller. So either trying to reduce the seller help, get the seller help from the lender. Rates are so low right now. Ask the lender if they can do a lender credit to help with some of the closing costs. In my state, we have a very high transfer tax rate. So have the buyer offer to pay the seller's transfer taxes so that you're not going so high that then you have an appraisal issue.
Yep.
On those 8 offers, we did not accept the highest priced offer by a long shot because it wouldn't have appraised, it wouldn't have mattered. It was not doing the seller justice. So making sure you understand the best possible way to get the seller the highest net. That's number 1. Number 2, I can't stress enough building rapport with the listing agent. Again, out of the 8 offers I had, the one who won was the one who called me before she showed it, after she showed it. What does the seller need? Literally crafted the offer so that it spoke to the seller's needs. Timing is huge, especially now when we don't know where sellers are going or they need to find their home of choice, things like that. Yep. The last one is actually when you're working with buyers. I call it my ladder strategy. This is something that I've used with buyers. So as I said, I've been in the business since 1998. So I've already done this once. Yeah. This market feels very much like 2003 when we didn't really know what hit us. And I was taught a fabulous strategy where, let's say the asking price is $300,000 and you've done your counseling with the buyer. They are understanding the market conditions. They know they have to go over and really fight for the house. So they say, you know what, I'm willing to go to 310. And you say, okay, Tom, if you find out someone paid 312 for the house, how would you feel? I guarantee you, if you'll go back and Tom will turn around and say, oh, I'd pay 312. Okay, so if you find out someone paid 315 and you literally rung up the ladder until you hit their ceiling, you have to do it in appropriate increments for your marketplace and for your price points. If we're talking $1.5 million property, you're probably going to do $25,000, $30,000 increments. At the $300,000 and the $200,000 property, we do it in $1,000 or $2,000 increments until we find their ceiling that says it's okay, someone else can have it for $318,000.
Stop it for just a second there. I want to get your feedback on this ladder strategy. Has anybody tried that, or do you have any results on something similar?
Mm-hmm.
How do you find out? I mean, I assume most of you are using the escalation clause. If you're not, you're missing the boat. Treva, you started to say?
We've used it several times, and if the people have the backing behind them, then a lot of times they will go ahead and say, yeah, I need to offer more.
Yeah.
And we do use the escalation clause a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we talked about it at the last sales meeting. The people that are getting the offers accepted are using the escalation clause.
Mm-hmm.
There's a little confusion because unfortunately, a lot of agents don't really understand the clause, both on the writing the offer end, but also on the receiving the offer end.
Mm-hmm.
So it might, it's a delicate conversation because you don't want to make anybody feel dumb, but you do want to make sure that the agent that's receiving the offer understands what that means exactly. That you have an escalation clause going up by $1,000 increments to 20,000 over the asking price. That they got to understand what that means. I haven't thought through exactly how do you say, do you even know what this is?
Yeah.
Without getting them frustrated with you. But if they don't understand it, you're probably going to lose on the deal. So, but I like this latter thought. Well, Treva, what if? How would you feel if you found out somebody bought it for $312,000? That's a good question.
Mm-hmm.
That's a powerful question, and then just notch it up from there. Hey, who can explain to us on here? They talked about getting a lender credit. Does anybody know what a lender credit means?
Yeah, and we've done that and talked about that lately with some deals with the interest rates being so low. Lenders can increase the interest rate slightly to give a credit and just reduce their closing costs and things money out of pocket. So instead of asking the sellers to give a credit or something that might go against your offer, instead of taking 3.5%, you can take 3.75 or 4%, depending how much money you need. Instead, it's like the opposite of buying points on a loan. Instead of paying money for points to get a lower interest rate, the lender is going to give you money to take a higher interest rate.
Yes, that's perfect explanation. Thank you. Yeah, it's like I used to explain in my lender days, it's a teeter-totter. You have closing costs and you have interest rate. And if you push the interest rate down, then the closing costs go up. But also, if you push the interest rate up, the closing costs can go down. So, if you have somebody that needs help on the closing costs, by the way, this works a lot better the larger the loan amount is. If it's a $70,000 loan, then they're probably not going to be able to raise the interest rate enough to make it, to get a big credit. But if they're borrowing $250, even 1/8% might get them $1,000 off of their closing costs. So it's a powerful tool. So if the buyer was willing to pay $20 more a month on their payment, and they didn't have to ask the seller for $2,000 of closing costs help, that might be the difference between, getting the deal and not getting the deal. So I don't think we've talked about that before, but that's a super powerful way. Thanks, Rick, for schooling us. But yeah, you explained it exactly right. So you want to check with your lender on that, and not after the offer's made, but before the offer's made, before you find the house even, because you know how fast all this happens. So, all right, back to Miss Thing here, Alicia. I don't know what her name is.
And so you walk up the ladder with them so that they really feel like they're putting their best foot forward. Because when you then put the fear of them, somebody else might pay $1,000 more. Would you have paid $1,000 more? And right. They're like, no. So it is really, those are my 3 biggest strategies on getting your offers accepted.
I love it. Now, I know as you're watching this, you're like, We're here for KCM data, but I'm seeing in the comments, you understand why I asked Coach Alicia to join us today, because we know right now, if we just get our buyers in position to win, your business gets better, they get their clients, that's way more referrals for you. So David,
Yeah,
we're gonna go
All right, I'm skipping forward a little bit here, you guys. This is,
I have another
completely different
strategy.
direction. Let's talk about the economy, my
what's
friend.
that?
I have another strategy that somebody did on one of my listings a couple of weeks ago where they knew that it was going to be very competitive. We had 5 offers and 3 of them were very similar, but the one said that they would go $1,000 over whatever the appraised value is if it's greater than $1,000 less than the purchase agreement.
Greater than $1,000 less.
So
So real numbers, what was the offer?
So they offered 151. So if it appraises at 150 or less, they'll add 1,000 to that. The buyer will.
Oh, so they'll come up out of their pocket with the difference, so they don't have to lower the price all the way to the appraised value.
Right.
Oh.
So
Yeah.
that made us pick that one.
That's a good strategy, you guys. Yeah, Heidi was telling me something similar. She had a buyer that they didn't care what it appraised for. They want, they were doing an escalation clause way above, and she wrote right in the offer they'll pay the asking price regardless of the appraisal, which is very dangerous, by the way, because sometimes this stuff gets cut by $30,000-$40,000. So I like your idea better, Jeremy, or that agent's idea. Put a limit on what you'd be willing to go over the appraisal.
Yeah.
All right. I had the opposite on that rental property, just so you know. I agreed, they countered me 3,000 over the asking price, and I said, I'm okay with that, but if it doesn't appraise, I want it in writing ahead of time that you're going to sell for the appraised value. And I felt like that was decent protection for myself, because you never know what stuff is going to appraise for. So if it appraised for 5,000 below, I'm going to get it for 5,000 below my asking price, and I'll be a happy camper. So we'll see what happens. But I like the ladder. I like the lender credit. I like this. I don't know what you would call that, paying above the appraised value. Put it right in the offer. Yeah, all these things can make the difference. Love letters, you guys. Have you heard of love letters?
I had one of those a couple of weeks ago.
It can backfire, but I think overall it's a good strategy. You have the buyer write a little letter, sometimes adding a photo of who the buyer is, and why they love that particular house and why they should get it. That's what my brother did in Denver. There were, I think, 10 offers on the house. They put a picture of their family and why they loved it and how they're going to use this swing set in the backyard and this and that, and they got it over 9 other offers. So I think that's a good strategy. You got to be careful with the RESPA and all that, but you guys know me. I'd rather ask forgiveness than permission in these cases. All right, 1240 we're supposed to go to.
Information we're going to cover over the next 45 minutes to an hour, and as you're going through a strategy like that, Alicia, having access to the information to be able to overcome objections, yes, and be able to deliver really what's happening in the market right now is what we have to do. So I'm going to say this. We at KCM, we go over this stuff every week. We spend about 3 hours on Thursday just as a team saying what all's happened and, compiling it. I would say come back and watch this video. Watch it another time so that you really get it, because it takes a while to get it. And the other thing is get the information out in the market and make sure that it doesn't, die with us. We always say that, because just because we know it and just because we're talking about it, we can't assume that somebody else knows it.
This is a really strong point, you guys. We're all in tune with the market and what's going on, that it's on fire, but not everybody knows that. A lot of people do in Fort Wayne, but not people think it's shut down for COVID. They think you got to have 20% down to buy a house. This is where, like he said, make sure this information doesn't stop with us. The reason we're doing this is so you can be knowledgeable and you can post about it and you can answer questions and you can send an email out telling what's going on in the market.
Not just so you know it. There's no, I mean, it doesn't help you a lot to know it unless you share the information with people who could use it.
And there are big questions today. There are big questions that need answers. So let's talk about the economy. And I want to start from this perspective. Alicia, you and I were talking about this. You're like, hey, economists have said a lot of different things in the shape of recovery. Let me show you just a kind of a landscape of what people are saying right now. And then let's have that discussion about what do we see happening? Because I think it's fair to say right now, depending on where you live across the country, depending on what is going on, there's some fear creeping back into the market. We just did a webinar this week at Keeping Current Matters on a 2020 market forecast. What's the second half going to bring? And there are a lot of people going, hey, we have some questions right now. We don't know what's going on. So let's try to unpack that and go through it. And I'll share a few slides that we can then have a discussion on. So I'll start off here with a quote from Morgan Stanley. It's from the chief global economist. And it says, we believe this will be a sharper but shorter recession, and recent upside surprises in growth data and policy action have increased our confidence that this will be a deep V-shaped recovery. Now, we've talked about this for a while. A lot of experts saying, V, U, Nike, Swish, W, L, a lot of things assigned to it. But I think it's safe to say what they're saying is we saw things go down and we're seeing them come back up. Now, the ultimate question is, how quickly, how strong will that recovery be? That's what we're looking at right now. So I pulled a couple of things to look at that. The first is the impact right now that we can look at what consumers are spending. And this slide right here is a survey of what total spending looks like as compared to January 1st. And you can certainly see here January, February, March, we have spending negligible or slightly down as compared to January 1st, and then this deep drop, we know, where everybody kind of put their hands in their pocket and said, we're not going to do anything right now. And then fast forward that to today, where we're in July and we're seeing that come back. I think the next report of this is going to show something that's very close to even on that, forming somewhat of a V type of recovery relative to consumers. Now,
so, David, I want to just jump in really fast here. At least when you see this, doesn't that looks like a V to me?
Mm-hmm.
It does. It absolutely does. It looks like a V. And I had asked in our pre-chat show. My team locally interviewed an economist as well about 2 months.
Oh, I went over where I was supposed to go. Interestingly, if we go back to that chart, that's pretty insane. But you know what happened in May to the stock market? Two things happened in May. One, an awful lot of people received $1,200 in the mail. And an awful lot of those people then immediately put that in the stock market. And the stock market has gone insane, like to the moon, since this pandemic started. No reason for it other than people didn't spend money. All this 31%, I don't know what percentage, but all this money they saved, the savings rate went up 400% in the United States. So people didn't just keep spending. They said, oh crap, we're in a mess here. And they stopped spending and they saved the money and they also put it in the stock market. So kind of interesting. Let's go fast forward to 2150. All right, you guys.
I pulled this slide in is, the impact on savings across the country when since we've been kind of shelter in place and during the time where we haven't been out and about as frequently. And you can see 2 out of 3, almost 2 out of 3 are saying, yes, I'm saving more money right now. I'm not spending as much as I was. There certainly is a quarter that's saying, hey, I'm earning the same, but I'm spending more because of a different reason. And 12% saying I'm spending less and my income has dropped.
I think you missed the huge point here is that only 12% said their income has dropped. Mm-hmm. Only 12%. And if half the people are unemployed, then maybe 6 out of the 12% are the under 25 crowd who's not buying a house anyway. So maybe only 6% of people, their income dropped. But we all, well, not all, but an awful lot of people did get the benefit of either unemployment or stimulus checks, et cetera. So a lot of people are in actually better financial position now than they were, believe it or not.
And so that gives us a perspective of what's going on, even as we start to talk about forbearance and other things like that. What is going on with the consumer? But the overwhelming majority of people are saying, I'm saving more, and we're certainly seeing that in deposit rates as well at banks. But the encapsulating piece here, I think, was summed up very well by the Wall Street Journal.
Biggest challenge, our clients that were downsizing have put this on hold because kids are now staying home from school, staying home from college. We're seeing the same, I mean, we're hearing the same thing. So David, all this has, sort of a binary situation, because that means some markets are struggling and other markets, other price points, et cetera, are completely on fire. Let's give them the overall housing economy. And I want to really get to that slide those last two at the end that I think are just so important for us. So let's talk housing recovery.
Yeah, so housing recovery, we're obviously, are going to talk about the macro U.S. data across the country. This is a great place to bring in what's happening in your market. But I changed this slide up just a little bit. If you remember, it's a showing time slide that we've been watching since the start of this, since we started doing this. We had it as a line, and I've added it as a bar graph to show that over the last 9 weeks, we have seen this positive recovery in people going out and looking at homes, physically, and maybe in some cases still virtually, but people saying, hey, we want to go. It hasn't stopped us from going out and looking at a new home or exploring what we want in a home. And we're seeing that happen in this sustained pattern since like the middle of May. So very interesting there. The next one is purchase application. So we know they've gone out and they've looked at a home. They're now applying for the financing to go out and obtain that home. 10 straight weeks is what we're sitting at of year-over-year increases. Now, what we want to start to look at right now is we are—
When you say year-over-year increases, you guys, what that means is this isn't just up from the beginning of the year. This is up 10% from the same time period last year. So that tells us the market is even hotter. There are even more people that want to buy. Look at this one. For the beginning of July, it's up 35% over last year, purchase applications. This is getting over the fear and shock of COVID, but also interest rates plummeting. I mean, absolutely plummeting. So this is this news to anybody? Like, this is crazy. It went down 35%, fewer showings than this time last year during COVID. On one hand, it's like only 35. I would have thought it went down 80%, but no, it only went down a third. All right, let's see here.
Benefiting from, Tom, you talked about this of, hey, there's going to come a time where people are going to come out. We've just looked at it. That is what that represents. There's probably in that a lot of pent up demand of people that couldn't get out. They had, plans to do something, and now they're able to do it. We want to watch that forward and say, okay, now that we're maybe getting through some of that pent up demand, how is that going to continue on? If we look at right now at what, what's driving this and how builders are even feeling, we looked at a lot of things this week from the National Association of Home Builders that's saying, hey, they're definitely seeing a drive to the suburbs and people coming out wanting to build a home right now. And I pulled this quote right here. Might have seen it. Builder confidence in the market for newly built single-family homes jumped 14 points to 72 in July, according to the latest NAHB Wells Fargo Housing Market Index. The HMI now stands at the solid pre-pandemic reading in March before the outbreak affected much of the nation. So we just saw those leading indicators of people looking at homes and applying for financing. Now we're seeing this in builders as well, saying, hey, we're back to pre-pandemic, confidence in what people are looking for in a home and wanting to build a home.
Can I comment on that?
Absolutely.
Let's hear it. Kim?
That wasn't me.
That wasn't you?
It sounded like me, but it wasn't me.
Oh my gosh, it sounded exactly like you. Hilarious. All right, well, let's keep going.
Alicia, let me just say one thing real quick, and then I want you to drive it home. Everyone watching, those last 3 slides and the 4th one coming up, this is the video you need to shoot this weekend. You need to print these off, and I don't care if you literally stand with your phone and you're like, people are asking me what's happening in housing. I want to show you guys, and like literally, I would be on my phone going like this. Well, let me show you this one first and foremost, right? So
who's brave enough? Who's brave enough? Jeremy will do it, I bet.
What this tells us is, yes, there's always going to be fear in the marketplace, but people are out looking at property every single day. Now, it's one thing to look at property, but guess what? You show them the next one. Here, I actually screwed it up. Here's the mortgage application, right? So you're literally like, people are looking, people are mortgaged, right? And then this one, And then David, when you show them the next one, the Housing Market Recovery Index, like if you shoot that video, please tag me in it because I want to see it. And I'll probably share it on my Instagram stories because we need to educate people on what's going on to remove.
See, that's what we got to do is educate people. Let me show you the unemployment here. This is Indiana. They don't do it by county, but this is showing times, showing index. So the first of the year is 0%. The blue is last year. The yellow is this year. So we were above last year all the way through March 10th or so. Then we plummeted 50% in Indiana. But then ever since mid-May, like May 20th, we've been above the number of showings for last year. So again, for buyers, I don't know. I used to hear, well, the prices are too high. I'm going to wait until, I'm going to wait till prices come back down. Well, that looks just plain silly now. But this is more information that you would have, and I'll send you the link to all these things. But also, he's talking about printing off these slides. You might want to take down this web address. The guy he's talking to is from KCM. It's Keeping Current Matters, kcm.com. And if you haven't subscribed to their blog, I always encourage people to do that because they put out a blog post about every day, and it's like a 2-minute read. It's not a big long thing. But if you want to be a knowledge broker and an expert in the marketplace, KCM puts out some amazing stuff. But these slides are available for free that they're showing us. If you wanted to print those out and show them and print the video, they're right here. So it's at mykcm, like mykeepingcurrentmatters.com/Tom Ferry. That's where you find these slides. And then if you wanted to show them this slide, showings in North America, then you just go to that slide and download it. And you can print it off and make a video like he's talking about. If you want to be advanced, there's something called Loom, which will allow you to talk into your camera on your computer or your phone and show whatever's in the background at the same time. And that's loom.com, LOOM.com. Free, by the way. Amazing little tool. All right. Let's get back to this. 3102, skipping forward to 3220. How we doing, you guys?
Good.
Good, thank you.
33 listing attraction strategy, like that whole campaign that we did 2 years ago at the summit.
Yep, that's one of them.
People like go, oh, that's how you go after builders. Got it. So, David, the Housing Market Recovery Index. This is my top 3 slides right here.
Right on. That's exciting. This is exciting. So we started talking about this several weeks ago when NAR released the Housing Market Recovery Index, and it combines demand, supply, price, and time on market. Now what this shows, and Tom, I love your analogy of holding the slide up and saying that we saw this dip, and we are now at a point above the February 1st baseline. Okay, so that index is calculated. Where were we at on February 1st, and where are we at, or where have we been relative to that? So we know we dropped off the the cliff there, and sometime around mid-May started to come back up. Not suggesting that we're ahead of where we would have been if the pandemic wouldn't have happened, but when we look at these 4 indicators, we are above where we were on the beginning of February. What does that mean right now? What it means is all the things that we had to figure out in our business, they got figured out. And we were able to get back to work. A lot of the great agents that, everybody that's watching us and has been doing this for several months and watching This Week in Housing, getting out there, delivering the message, Tom, making the videos, controlling what's happening out in the market to drive housing forward. And we see that result right here.
100%. Alicia, when you see this, how do you, okay, so Alicia, I'm going to put you on the spot as coach and Rockstar team leader and Rockstar agent. How are you going to use those 4 slides, and maybe just specifically that last one?
Ask the lender if they can do a lender credit to help with some of the closing costs. In my state, we have a very high transfer tax rate.
Screwed up, you guys.
The Housing Market Recovery Index. This is my top 3 slides.
The housing market shows, and Tom, I love your analogy of holding the slide up and saying that we saw this dip, and we are Okay. So that index is calculated. Where were we at on February 1st and where are we at, or where have we been relative to that? So we know we dropped off the cliff there and sometime around mid-May started to come back up. Not suggesting that we're, ahead of where we would have been if the pandemic wouldn't have happened. But when we look at these 4 indicators, we are above where we were on the beginning of February. What does that mean right now? What it means is all the things that we had to figure out in our business, they got figured out. And we were able to get back to work. A lot of the great agents that, everybody that's watching us and has been doing this for several months and watching This Week in Housing, getting out there, delivering the message, Tom, making the videos, controlling what's happening out in the market to drive housing forward. And we see that result right here.
100%. Alicia, when you see this, how do you, okay, so Alicia, I'm gonna put you on the spot as coach and Rockstar team leader and Rockstar agent. How are you gonna use those 4 slides and maybe just specifically that last one?
This one is a really good slide for everything, for buyers, for sellers, particularly buyer, you also have misinformed buyers who think that, they listen to Susie or somebody else who's not really delivering accurate data and information. And they think that, oh, it's a great time to buy because, I can come in and lowball people. So this slide really helps drive the point home that, no, this is a different kind of market. It drives the point home that, yes, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, you really can get top dollar for your house. We've, just like David said, we figured it out. We figured out how to show homes, and the buyers are not all the buyers are scared. Plenty of them are back in the market. So really just to drive point the home. I mean, I was in Pottery Barn the other day buying a closing gift for a client. And the sales agent asked me, she's like, oh, how's the market? I'm like, it's crazy. This is a closing gift for a client. She goes, you're kidding. I said, no. So again, use the opportunity to educate another consumer. And she was like, wow, I had no idea. So, you think that people know because we're in the business, we're hearing it from you, and we are living and breathing it, but really the general population doesn't know. So doing a video, doing a newsletter, email newsletter blog, printing it out and sticking it in the mail. Do not forget the mail. You can, one of your 33 listing attractions was to take your business card and stick a sticky note on it and write, call me about your house. I'm talking about this coaching clients. You can print that out in mini and say, call me about your house, and staple it together and put it in the door. Don't knock on the door. That freaks people out right now. Just shove it in the door. So there's a bunch of ways off the top of my head that I think you can use these slides.
Yeah, the thing, and you hit it, direct mail, email, in text, in social, on video. And the thing that I want to stress to everybody is this.
Man, what if you just took a picture of one of those slides and texted it to people? That's just, again, all the people that get in this and succeed, they take action. It really doesn't matter what action. You just have to do something to show that you're active and you're working and that's why these posts of just listed, just sold, pending, all that stuff works. People are kind of maybe a little bit, oversaturated on that stuff, but just touching base with people with some actual local knowledge of what's going on in Fort Wayne. If you just told them like Justin Geating has been getting business because he posts every day he posts a picture in Fort Wayne with how many houses are for sale. Well, that's not particularly original, but he's killing it. He's having his best year ever by far. By the way, his post also says, I'm available from like 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, and by appointment on the weekends. So he's doing 2 things. He's getting a life. He's controlling, his business, and he's growing his business because he's showing his expertise by just the simplest thing, which is search the MLS by how many condos there are, or how many houses there are, or how many pendings there were this week, or some little bit of information that makes us the market expert. So I can't encourage you enough to do that. But anyway, all right.
So many of you, I'm so proud of you. You are doing such a good job on video, right? I mean, really, like, own that. You're doing such a good, could you do better? Yes. Could you get better lighting? Sure. But you're doing it, right? Done is better than perfect. Here's the next level. This is what I really want you to get. You shoot a video once that's super important, and then it's gone. Yeah. I would take that video and I would shoot it like 7 times over a month. You want to know why? Because maybe 1% of the people on Facebook actually saw it. Definitely maybe 1% saw it on Instagram. Don't get caught up in, but I'm just saying the same thing over and over again. Right. Some people need to hear it 6, 7 times before they finally go, now it's my idea. It's safe. I can do this. Come on, honey, let's go. But you're going to get a broader reach if you take that same message and you record it in a different setting. You shoot it out in front of a recent sold sign. Hey, I'm standing in front of Pottery Barn. You're not going to believe this. I walked inside and the woman said to me, God, like, you're in real estate. How are you doing? Are you okay? Like, do you need food? And I said, no, I'm closing my 57th transaction. This is actually a closing gift. Because see, she didn't understand the housing recovery market index that actually shows us being better right now than February, right? You can do that over and over and over, and you're still not going to touch 100% of the people that already know you, like you, and trust you. So please know that you're doing well and do more.
Yeah.
And
I was going to say, in the data of that, getting it out quickly is so important right now.
Today.
I want to say something. This is funny. You guys will get a kick out of this. Carrie and I got up early this morning, went for a walk, I went to the mailbox and got it. And what do I have? I've got a card from an agent, active, pending, and sold. On the back, I don't know if you can see this. It says, mortgage rates fell to the lowest point in 50 years, keeping current matters. I'm like, this is awesome. I called this agent this morning. I left a voicemail for him and said, you're crushing it. You're absolutely killing it. But that was released last week. I was shocked. I was like, wow. Today, being able to respond to what's happening in the market quickly is the key to getting that information out there.
I agree. And if you pay attention to SEO and you put it up on YouTube and you follow the trends of the day, you get picked up on. All you need is one of those videos to go viral, my friends, on YouTube or Facebook or Instagram, and your brand really gets blown up and extended. Okay.
You know, and I just wanted to, I get an objection from coaching clients sometimes about, well, aren't they tired of seeing me or hearing me?
Yeah.
I have a coaching client who's actually
move
implemented.
Forward here a little bit to 42 minutes. Who's going to do something?
Yeah.
With this info? Who's going to share something? What are you going to share? Somebody tell me.
Well, actually, it's ironic that my reason to call this month was supposed to be a market update. So even if they're only brave enough to do my little reason to call, that would be great.
That would be awesome.
I had a different plan for my weekly email, but I'm going to change it to some of these statistics and graphs.
Awesome. Yeah, go to that mykcm.com/Tom Ferry and, you know, pick a few of the graphs and just embed them in your email. That'd be amazing. You know, yeah. I think all of us studied the Buffini, or I think most everybody on here has studied Buffini. And I don't know if you remember, but he said there are two components. There's caring and competency. Caring and competency. And we gotta have both. I think most of us are really good at showing our caring side. You know, I saw the Treva and your group was doing a back to school, you know, congrats to the teachers and things, and people are doing giveaways and shout outs, and all that stuff shows caring, and it makes us likable and approachable. And that's super important. But we're talking about selling our biggest asset. You know, this is the biggest financial transaction that these people are going to have. So just being likable and approachable is not enough on its own. We got to have the other side, which is competency. And it doesn't have to be a lot. You don't have to be a statistical genius on this stuff, but you know, you better know how many houses are available. You better know what the appreciation is going for. You better be able to speak about it without looking it up. And as long as we can do that, that shows our competency. And that's why Justin, you know, when he posts just how many houses are available, it's showing his competency, his competence. So I encourage you to do the same. I mean, it's really, really powerful. All right, 42:15.
We need to be ready for that, of a significant reduction in output across the country. So we know that's happening. So I want to set these up to say, okay, let's be ready for these things as they come out so that we can make videos, we can respond to people, we can do what we need to do to overcome those questions. So the first one I want to start out with is, and we've looked at this, the complete look at unemployment. And this is the look of the cumulative filing. So that's what we get every week as compared to who's actually currently collecting unemployment. And if I were to simplify this, I simplified this slide here real quick. You see in the orange that, you know, cumulative numbers continue to rise as, you know, we compound that number each week, meaning we add on top of the filings from the previous week and so forth. And then we watch, okay, who's actually coming off of unemployment to see who's currently collecting it. This is what this looks like.
David, go back just for 1 second.
Yep.
Not saying you brushed over it, but every time you turn on this gosh darn news, what they say is 51 million filings for unemployment.
Correct.
What does the average non-thinking, fear-based, God bless them consumer do? They go, oh my God, 51 million people are unemployed.
Absolutely.
Right? It's a wonderful headline to keep people, hey, and when you come back after the break, we're going to talk about the 51 million people that filed for unemployment. You're like, oh my God, the whole world's falling apart. I got to come back and click, watch more so they can sell you more advertising.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And this is kind of a simplified look at that. The cumulative number has grown to 51 million people that have filed for unemployment benefits. Now, what we want to be aware of is this past week, we saw that number tick up by about 100,000 to 1.4 million people filing. The previous week, it was 1.3. So that's going to be, something that we want to watch. We're looking for trends here. So we know we've got this 50 million news story that's probably going to be out there. You're going to turn on the TV, like you said, Tom, and see, hey, 50 million people are out of work. Well, actually, it's about 16 million, 16.2 that are currently collecting unemployment. And the difference between that is those that have gone back and gotten jobs. We talked about the previous unemployment report where 4.8 million jobs were added last month. So when we see a headline that so-and-so is laying off 10,000 people or whatever, that's going to be the headline. Remind people, 4.8 million jobs were added last month.
Yep. And you know what, David? I know, Alicia, you got comments on this before we hit them with my final favorite 2 slides. I think it's so important, my friends, that you go back 2 weeks, you take this slide and the slide from 2 weeks ago where it says, and here is the unemployment by age. Because when you look and say 65% of the people that are unemployed right now are under 25 years old, look, I don't wish that on my kids. I don't wish that on your kids. I don't wish that on anybody that just got out of college. But we have to understand our industry. That's not the person that's buying a house en masse. It's tragic. Be mindful of how you say it, but I think it's a very important distinction. It's a very important distinction to say, hey, we still got 69 million, but 65% of them fall under this category. Because your 22-year-old is now living at home in the basement, smoking weed and playing video games. Again, Alicia, thoughts on that? Got to be careful, but thoughts on that.
So when I look at this slide, and David, can you clarify something? Can you pull the slide back up? The one with the orange? Yeah, that one. Thank you. This slide, cumulative new filings. Mm-hmm. So the word cumulative to me means that is all the filings since the beginning of COVID, yes?
Correct.
Okay. So when I was looking at this, I was like, okay, that's confusing. So I think that to your point, this even just the general data is a little bit confusing and misleading because it says that 50 million people have filed. But what we need to make sure we drive home is 50 million people are not unemployed.
Correct.
Right? Yes. So that's what the blue line is. I don't mean to be breaking it down dumb, but when I look at this, I personally was like, that seems like a lot of people unemployed. But then I had to look at it a couple of times and go, okay, so that's over the course of the last 4 months. And the only people that are actually receiving unemployment is 16.2. Now, might that tick up a little bit over the newer filings over the last couple of weeks? Sure. But you also just mentioned that 4.8 million jobs were just added. So I think that it's important to understand too, that the number is 50. Just like you said, and I think I'm repeating what you said just a little differently. Yes, people over the course of the last however many months have cumulatively added up together, but not all of those people are sitting unemployed.
So you guys get the point there that this is going to be the headline shouted from the rooftops, but that's not how many people are actually unemployed. That's like if we shouted the headline of how many people bought a house since the beginning of the year. Well, that doesn't mean anything. How many are buying a house right now? And that's a third of those people, basically, not even quite a third. All right, so let's skip forward. Who has a thought, though? Are you guys staying with me? Mm-hmm. Everybody staying awake here? Is it helpful or no?
Yes.
Should we?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, good. Because I don't want to bore you guys or give you stuff. I'm a numbers nerd, so all these graphs and stuff it makes sense to me, but I know not everybody's brain works like that. So I'm glad to hear it's somewhat helpful. And, like Justin, give me that feedback. Give me some feedback, you guys, when, not necessarily in front of everybody, but after it's over, if there's things that are particularly helpful or things that are annoying. Somebody told me I'm too preachy sometimes, Hey, I need to know this stuff. And I don't mind making changes. I got thick skin. So, all right, so play.
Chris, my screen is black. I can't see anything.
Anybody else have
situation
a black
here?
I can see everything.
I can see and hear everything.
Amy, I don't know. You might
here.
You might click off, like go off and then come back into the meeting. I don't know what to tell you. It seems like it's working for everybody else.
that I cannot get back to work. I cannot, make the money that I want to make. And here's what I would say. This is another video that we need to probably get out in the market. If you're struggling, if you're having an issue, there are options. We talked about it last week. You can go back and watch last week's video where the CFPB has expressly given directive that you can extend your forbearance.
Yep.
Second, we talked about it. I think it was last week. We hit it again. Go ahead, Chom.
It's like 360 days.
No,
Correct.
180.
Yes.
Right? It's like
Oh,
A
360
total of
total,
360
right.
days. Correct.
So that's basically 5 days short of a year. I mean, the government is doing everything in their power to put people in a good place, not what happened in 2006, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Yeah. I mean, so we know that is the truth, that what the CFPB has done through this whole program is to help people weather the storm. The second thing that we talked about, 77% of these people that are past due have at least 20% equity in their homes. They can make a decision if they want to sell. The other thing I would say right now is banks, based on 2008, they don't want the house back. Every situation is going to be unique, and I'm not suggesting that we all move into trying to help people modify their loan or do that, but there are options. If somebody were to go into foreclosure today that has equity or in that situation, gosh, we need to get that word out there if they don't know what the options are that are available to them.
I don't think I've said loan modification since like 2012.
Right.
Yeah. Alicia, there's something interesting maybe we need to explore, like on the coaches page. There's something in there that we need to re-explore and figure out how we can help our clients help any client that is potentially in that situation.
I agree.
David,
every situation is going to be different. We want to encourage them and say, hey, look, there are options. Where are you at? How do we best serve you?
So you've been toying around here. I'm razzing you because like the next 3 slides are like my all-time favorite, but the 2 are really key. So we're talking forbearance. So let's show them that slide, and then let's get to that unemployment rate as it relates to home buying, because that's the real key for everybody. They got to see this data.
Yeah, so I'll hit these forbearance slides. They are a little bit of a follow-up to what we just said. If we look at forbearances right now, the number of mortgages that are in forbearance has fallen for the 3rd week in a row. Again, we're looking for trends here. We're going to stay on top of that, but it is a good thing that people are coming out of that program. Like was just mentioned, there are options for people that are still in financial hardship to extend forbearance, and we need to get that word out and encourage them to do that if that is the situation that is affecting them and their family. The next is there are alternatives. We talked about extending the forbearance, modifications, or the third, selling the home. With the amount of equity that people have today, the only reason a home would go into foreclosure is if they didn't have, they're one of the smaller pieces of the pie of folks that don't have the equity where they could even do that. But we know 90% have at least 10% equity in their home and can do that as an avoidance to forbearance.
So I'm going to make the argument, and Alicia, I want your input here, that these 2 slides, this is an email to your entire database saying, if you know someone that is in a situation where they have done forbearance and they are concerned, right? There's 3 different options. You can extend it, right? You can look at loan modification, or you can sell the property. I can help you understand any one of those 3. If you know, like, you don't want to say, hey, you, my past client, are you in the situation? But you want to say, if you know someone, right, I can help with these 3 things, right? That's a very powerful email message right now that even in the subject line could be, forbearance issues got you down, right? Like, forbearance concerning you, right? Not making mortgage pay. I would be a little provocative in my headline, because what I want is the open rate to my database at maybe 40 or 50% because it's provocative, but then you going in and saying, if you know someone, this is how I can help, right?
Absolutely.
I think for that friendly referral.
100%, because, people, one of my other favorite people is Brene Brown. And she talks a lot about.
Why do you do this to me, YouTube? Oh, brother, we get a little ad here. Sorry, you guys. What in the world? Oh, Lord. All right, I don't know what happened here.
Shame. And so, you know, when, I don't mean to bring an emotional component into this, but that's where we are. And so when you're talking about losing your job, people find pride in their work, being able to make money, take care of the home. You know, you know, why we love selling real estate is because we love the pride in helping people buy their home and have that, et cetera. So, you know, they're not always going to come and be forthcoming to the realtor automatically, but they probably will be forthcoming potentially to their family member, their best friend, or whatever. So the referral is going to come not from the person, because there is a shame component, because shame makes you withdraw. So it's super important to, yes, again, you same thing. You've been now repeating yourself on you got to get the information out there. So understanding that these are your options. And again, citing the data of how many homes have equity in the United States right now, which is a KCM slide that I think has shown up repeatedly. So fine, it's not in today's thing, but how many homes have equity, and using the term protecting that equity. You know, again, not to roast Susie Orman, but a bank is not going to sell a house for half of what it's worth. So just
This is something you guys should be aware of if you haven't heard it, but Susie Orman, do you know who that is? She's a financial guru. Talks a lot about retirement, kind of, you know, in the same lines as Dave Ramsey. But she said, do not buy a home right now. Prices are going to fall. Your neighbor's going to go into foreclosure. And what she said actually was, your next door neighbor has a $300,000 house. It's going to get foreclosed on. The bank's going to sell it for $150,000, and that's going to drop the value of your house. That's what she told the people, you know, and she's a financial expert. So anybody want to tell me why that is some crazy advice right there?
Appraisers shouldn't consider, they should not include that as one of their comparables.
Reason number one, there are more. Who else got a reason?
That's one out of how many?
Yeah, that's one reason. So, okay, so you're saying there are a lot more comps?
Yeah.
So that's two. There's a glaring problem with this. If a bank takes a house back that's worth 300, how much are they going to sell it for?
They're not selling it for half.
Hell no, they're not selling it for half. They're going to sell it maybe for $295, but they might sell it for $315 because of the shortage.
Mm-hmm.
So even if there were a sudden glut of foreclosures, that doesn't mean prices are going to drop through the floor. We have less than 1 month's supply. So there's no reason to believe, even if there were a reasonable glut of foreclosures come on, that prices are going to suddenly drop through the floor. That's just not the way it happens. And for a financial expert to have said that is really irresponsible and silly, frankly. But a lot of people listen to her. She's got millions in her following. So don't be surprised if someone's thinking like that.
because somebody owes $150,000, if the house is worth $300,000, just like Yvonne said, they'll probably sell it for $350,000. And if they're going to sell it for $350,000, then you should sell it for $350,000 and walk away with your $200,000. You pay off whatever debt, you write your ship. It's not fun, it's not sexy, and it sucks. I'm not going to say it any easier, but take care of you before you go too far. Don't let the shame and the withdraw of, oh God, I lost my job, I don't know how I'm going to pay. Don't let that prevent you from making the right financial decisions or talking to the right people who can help guide you to the right place.
Right. Very well said. By the way, that's a micro clip. Just saying, put me interested over there.
What did I do?
Micro clip moment for my Instagram stories. Thank you. Yeah.
You guys should understand from a perspective standpoint, when people say, well, this is just 2008 all over again, nothing could be further from the truth. Nobody had any equity in 2008. If you lost your job or you couldn't make your payment, you just walked away because there was no equity. You couldn't put a sign out and walk away after commissions and everything and make 20 grand. So we're in a whole different world than we were in 2008. But all people know is housing was really high then and housing feels really high now. Is housing high? Are prices high, you guys? What do you think? Rick, Kim, are prices high? Somebody chime in here. A little high?
Yes.
A little high? They going higher or they going lower?
Higher.
I think that's what everybody is waiting to find out. They're less scared about the market and what they're going to buy. They're more scared about what the economy is going to do, you know, with the election and all of that. Like, is it going to come down? Like, are we at the top of a bell curve where it's potentially going to come down? Should we wait for it to come down, whether it's by foreclosures or just the natural, you know, flow of the market is, you know, going to have a little bit of ups and downs. I mean, they're worried that we're riding this high so long, they're going to buy at the very peak and then, you know, get burned a little bit.
Yeah, that's the concern. You're right. And the election throws a whole nother twist into it, you know, because that can make a difference. But look at this, you guys, month supply of inventory by price range. Again, this is on the housing stats. The month supply by price range. Look at that. 150 to 300. The supply is down 39% since this time last year. Over 300, it's down 41%. There is nothing here to show that there's any reason to think prices could fall. Now, I could be wrong. But we just went through a once in a lifetime event and they didn't drop. They continue to go up. They haven't dropped yet, not 1 month. So I think it's a long shot. The other thing we have to understand is when we look at this, you say, well, prices are way higher from 2017, it was 130, now it's 165. What we got to understand is the interest rate was 5.5 here. So the payment was exactly the same, basically. And people don't buy on price. They buy, can I afford the payment? So if the interest rate was at 5.5 here and it's at 3% here, you're actually paying less real dollars per month to own this house than you were 3 years ago. And so what happens is if the interest rates go up, then house prices are likely to fall because people buy the payment. They don't buy the nominal cost of the house. They buy the monthly payment. So what is the likelihood the interest rates are going to go up? Well, there's something in economics says don't bet against the Fed. And the Fed is the one that they can't completely control interest rates, but they have the largest influence of anybody. I don't want to get too deep in the weeds here, but the United States owes more debt than any other country on the planet. So think of it. Of all the families on the block, we have the highest credit card debt as a country. So what happens if you're in control of your own credit card percentage rate? Do you want it to be higher or lower? The Fed wants the rate as low as absolutely possible because the debt payments we have to make as a country stay low if the interest rates stay low. So there's nothing on the horizon that says interest rates will go up or that prices will come down. Now again, I don't have a crystal ball, but from an economic standpoint, there is nothing here that says even if the unemployment didn't recover. I mean, this is kind of interesting little chart here, you guys. This is Fort Wayne economy at a glance. So it tells you our labor force, how many people are employed, how many people are unemployed. So 25,000 people in Fort Wayne are unemployed. The rate is 11.5. The normal rate is about 5%. So about 12,000 people are unemployed that don't really want to be unemployed. So even if those people never got a job again, look at the market. It's still way upside down. Now, there's one other factor here that I want you guys to understand that you probably have not considered, but there is a major demographic shift going on. And it's called work from home, right? Google, Twitter, Facebook, all these companies had said, we don't care if you ever come back in the office again. You can work from wherever you want now. And companies realize that a lot can be done remotely. They don't have to have a high-priced office building in Manhattan to get the work done. And add to that, living in a pandemic in a 50-story apartment building or condo high-rise, people don't want that anymore. They got to get in the elevator with COVID going on. Are you kidding me? I don't want that. Then I got to commute. Like my daughter lives in LA. She'll drive 6 miles. It takes an hour. Like if I don't have to do that to get to work, I don't want to do that. So what's happening is people are moving. Oh, and then add to that, you saw what happened in Chicago probably a couple days ago. You got looters on Michigan Avenue. This isn't in the hood. This is in the nicest part of Chicago. 1,000 people showed up. They busted the windows out. They went in the stores and took whatever they wanted. That's in downtown Chicago. So if you're in Chicago and you say, I don't have to go to my job anymore in a building. I can work wherever I want. How's Indiana looking to you? How you know, you can move from your 800 square foot studio for $3,500 a month to, you know, 2,500 square feet for $1,000 a month. I'm moving to Indiana, man. I'm moving to Fort Wayne. So there's a whole influx of people that are moving out of cities into rural communities. And, you know, compared to New York or Chicago, we are a rural community. Even downtown is rural compared to the big city. So we also have that in our favor. So there's more people wanting to be in a town like Fort Wayne, not to mention the investors, all from the East Coast and the West Coast that are buying property in the Midwest because the cash flow works here. Some of you are on my how to think like a real estate investor. I mean, Fort Wayne, Indianapolis, these places are cash cows for investors. So more and more people want to live here. More and more people want to invest here. That's just going to exacerbate this problem of shortage of supply. So I just want to reassure you, if you think prices are going down anytime soon, again, anything is possible, but the chances are extremely stacked against that happening in Fort Wayne. We're still among the very lowest cost of living cities in the United States. So I think we're just about done here, you guys. Tell me your takeaway. What's your biggest takeaway from all this? I'll wait.
I thought the thing about the fact that prices have gone up, but because interest rates are so low, the payment is the same, that I would have lost that bet.
You would have lost that bet?
Yeah, I wouldn't have realized that the payments were still that low.
Yeah.
So that's very interesting.
Yeah, and that's you know, that's what we have to keep in mind is this video, they do this every 2 weeks. And the one that just came out Friday showed the unemployment continuing to go down. Showings are declining a little bit, but still way above last year. But he said that with the new interest rates from this time last year, the average home buyer can buy $32,000 more house at the same at the same payment. So if prices went up 32 grand, but your payment stays the same, then did prices go up? You know, I don't know. Yes, the dollar price of a house went up, but so did the stock market. So did the cost of a loaf of bread. So did everything else, except our wages. You know, if you're a W-2 person, your wages probably didn't go up like that. But I don't know if you guys been to the grocery lately, but everything is going up. So houses are no different. What else? Biggest takeaway, you guys? Biggest takeaway. Patrick, Greg, Jeremy?
Actually, I have a question, if I may.
You may.
Regarding the supply of housing, is there any chance you could bring that slide up that you had of Fort Wayne?
I'm not, let's see here.
If not, it's okay. And this goes out to pretty much everybody because everyone's much more knowledgeable on the residential side than I am right now. But what would it take, or do we know, is the city of Fort Wayne, do we have the infrastructure to allow a lot more supply, a lot more new developments? And what is the status of all that right now? Like, what would it take to basically bring in enough supply where we would need to worry about, you know, the pricing going up or down rather?
Kim, maybe you can address it. I got one thought on it before you do. The let's see, the sale, the percentage, housing affordability, inventory. So here's month's supply of inventory, Patrick. A typical market, normal, balanced buyer-seller market, normal would be 4 to 6 months of supply. Right now, we're selling about 500 homes a month, so we would need 2,000 to 3,000 homes on the market to have a balanced supply and demand where prices should just remain the same. So that would be, we would need 5 times as many houses as we have right now. So that's how critical the shortage is. Kim, you want to talk about new construction, land development, why it's so difficult?
Well, I would say a couple things. There's still plenty of land, obviously, and the city of Fort Wayne has been good about extending water and sewer services. The biggest problem is just the availability of the construction crews to do work. I mean, we're all, as developers, we're scrambling to keep the contractors busy so that they don't work for somebody else when we need them. And most of the time we're waiting for them, or we're waiting for some kind of governmental approval. So
right.
I don't see that changing. It keeps getting harder and harder to develop. We probably have half the inventory that we would normally have, just because as fast as we can get it ready, it sells. So I can't imagine that changing anytime soon.
Here's the other problem with, just to add to it, if you look at new construction prices, price per square foot of a previously owned home is about $90 now per square foot. New construction is $138 per square foot. I don't know if you guys have priced a new home, but it's quite expensive compared to an existing home. So this is another reason, you know, that people want previously owned homes, and that the price pressure will continue to rise on those. So, I mean, it really is a little bit astonishing by construction type. Previously owned, so the price on previously owned is going up 8% price per square foot this year. New construction has gone up almost 6%. Single family homes. And as always, new construction does not budge on their prices at all. So don't even bother. There's the single family condo. So new construction previously owned is up 0.7% or 7.4%. New construction is creeping up because it's so far ahead. I mean, 153 versus 251, Patrick. So even if we could buy, I mean, even if we could build 2,000 of these next month to flatten the market out, who's going to buy them? I mean, we don't have that many buyers in that price range, and that's the median price. I don't even, Kim, what do you think the minimum just to buy the land and put a house on it? It's like 170 now, the minimum that you
can. The minimum at least. I mean, you can't even get a lot for 60 grand. So really, starter houses now are 190.
Yeah, I would think 170 is like an 1,100 square foot house, you know. What's that? Oh, thought somebody.
Nothing. I got people in the background talking.
Oh, okay, okay. So I don't know. Is that helpful, Patrick?
Yes, very much so. Thank you.
What other questions or ahas do we have here? Rick, anything from you? You're an experienced realtor. You're on mute, by the way.
I don't know that I would say I'm an experienced realtor, but I've been around a little while.
Come on, man.
No, I mean, I don't know. I mean, just new challenges, you know, same as always. We've had to come through the issues where it takes 6 months to sell and everyone's upset about that. Now it takes 6 minutes to sell and buyers are upset about, I mean, it just, you know, you just got to be flexible and roll with it. But it is definitely hard with new construction right now. It's so expensive. I just got a first-time home buyer. The cheapest thing I could find them really that was a reasonable amount of living space was just under 200,000. I mean, so that's crazy to me to think that I was selling new construction homes the same size for 110. You know, when I started 10, 15 years ago, that's crazy. Now it's almost $100,000 more expensive for the same house, brand new. But yeah, just keep looking for those unique ways. I mean, Jeremy and some of the other guys mentioned to get your buyers' homes. I've got a lot of buyers that are start to get a little bit discouraged, but I haven't had any issues getting buyers in there. If you have willing and able buyers that have money, you know, and flexibility, there's definitely ways to win those highest and best, and you know, so yeah, just different times.
Different times, man. Different skill sets required.
Yeah, so you're doing a great job of just presenting all the things out there that people can do and positive information. So I appreciate you producing all that good info for us, Chris.
I appreciate it. I really, you know, I know people, ain't nobody got time for that, but I'm glad you guys took the time, you know, to sharpen the axe, because this is stuff you have to understand right now and be confident in. Otherwise, I don't know how you stand a chance out there. Because some people are studying this and they can speak knowledgeably about it at, you know, at the drop of a hat. And so we got to be right there with them. Any closing thoughts before we jump off of here?
I'm just amazed by the purchase applications being up 20%. And then when you factor in the fact that inventory is so much less, that's wow.
Yeah, it's, yeah, more. I mean, if you looked at the pending sales versus the inventory, they're completely. I mean, the inventory is going down, down, down. I mean, significantly over 25% a year, and we're up like 8% in sales this year. It's massive, and I think Northeastern Group. I think Kim jumped up. Oh no, Kim's still on here. I think we're up like 20%, 25%. How much are we up, Kim?
We're at least that. Yeah, I'd have to look at the numbers exactly, but we just closed we used to get excited if we closed $1 million in a month, Elena, and it would be August. There would be hair flying and people sweating and everything to get going. Last month we closed $1,280,000, and that was June. July, $1,290,000. So that's in commissions. It's crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy town. That definitely is. I think close it by saying a quote that they say in this, you know, last Friday's video. He said, "Headlines are more to." What did he say here? Get it right. This was such a good quote, and I think this is where we got to come in as the knowledge broker. He said, "Headlines are more to terrify than to clarify." These headlines are just to work everybody into a frenzy, this clickbait of housing crash and, you know, 50 million unemployment claims and so forth. So we have got to be the ones to say, calm down, voice of reason. I'm here to help you make the very best decision based on the facts, not on the emotions of what's being taught by the media, but on the facts of what's actually happening on the ground. That's our purpose. And if we can get that across to people, our competency will get right up there with our caring. And when we get those two together, that's when things just take off. You know, you got people calling you instead of you having to call people. So, all right, you guys, have yourself a good one. Shoot me some feedback if there's something that we could do better or that you'd like to see upcoming trainings. Let me know via email or give me a call and we'll talk it over. All right.
Thank you, Chris.
Thanks, Chris.
See you guys. Bye-bye.
See ya.